Battle Through the Heavens. Grand World. Chapter 289. Your Honor. Xiaoyan looked over and was slightly shocked when he saw the middle-aged man's attire. After that, his facial expression darkened. He couldn't sense any key fluctuations from the man's body. His senses were more than a level stronger than those of Monic spirit, but when he faced this middle-aged man, it was as if he had seen a deep abyss, and he couldn't sense the boundary of this place. Xiaoyan's mind raced. After a moment of hesitation, he raised his hand and cupped his fist. I, Xiaoyan, Elder. The middle-aged man waved his hand and said with a smile, "You are a saint-rank trial participant. The treatment you are currently receiving is no different from a second-grade elder. Naturally, you do not need to bow to me." As he spoke, the middle-aged man pointed to the technique impartation hall beside him and said, "The 3 great halls here require a certain amount of spirit origin stones to enter and inquire about the technique impartation elder. When Bai Yongzhao entered the great hall just now, he needed 5,000 spirit origin stones to inquire about it. This price is something that the inner court can afford. There aren't many of them." After that, the middle-aged man looked at Xiaoyan and said with a smile, "My name is Su Jiang, and I am the highest-level technique impartation elder in the Inner Academy. I am targeting the experts and soaring dragon rankings on the inner court's soaring dragon ranking. If you don't mind, this Su can give you some guidance." As he spoke, he turned around and entered the large hall. Xiaoyan's heart immediately moved when he heard this. He mused for a moment before following after Su Jiang. The knowledge and experience of a Tier 2 elder should be more persuasive than that of an ordinary Tier 3 elder. Although it was possible to expose the flame mantra burning spell, he could not care about so much now that things had come to this point. After entering the main hall, Xiaoyan raised his head and looked around. The entire hall was not gorgeous. On top of the bronze pillar, the image of a coiling dragon was carved. The atmosphere was solemn. The main hall was extremely spacious and filled with a strange depressing atmosphere. "Sit." Su Jiang casually sat on a bamboo chair in the main hall. He stretched out his hand with a smile and asked Xiaoyan to sit down. A few years ago, Elder Fang said that a saint-rank trial participant had appeared in the area he was in charge of, which made us very happy. Later on, when we heard that you might die, all the elders were extremely sad. I never thought that after so many years, you would actually come back," Su Jiang said, picking up a cup of hot tea from the table and sipping slowly. Xiaoyan smiled when he heard this but didn't say anything. He now had a rough idea why the bead broke. However, that kind of thing couldn't be said without absolute strength. Seeing that Xiaoyan didn't say anything, Su Jiang took a sip of tea. His voice suddenly became low and he said slowly, "Furthermore, your soul strength has also reached the alien realm. Without the help of others, it's impossible for the fighting monarch of the lower realm to pass through the 3 steps soul transfer." Hearing Su Jiang's deep voice, Xiaoyan raised his brows slightly. He remained silent, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. The other elders of the academy didn't realize it, but I do know that before the bead broke, you were in the Saint Meteorite Mountain of Forest Domain, so. Su Jiang slowly raised his head, his eyes flashing with a glimmer that Xiaoyan couldn't see through. "Did you have some fortuitous encounter in the Saint Meteorite Mountain?" Xiaoyan's heart trembled, but his facial expression didn't change. However, he was extremely shocked in his heart. He pondered for a moment and then smiled suddenly. "Elder Su, at that time, I was just a puny imperial warrior, just a newcomer to the great world. I had no idea what the Saint Meteorite Mountain was, and... Elder, since you know about the Saint Meteorite Mountain, you must know about it as well. That supreme saint has been dead for nearly 10,000 years. Let alone someone as strong as you. Even the heavenly sovereign experts have explored it before. None of them managed to discover anything. How could there be any fortuitous encounters?" Su Jiang frowned when he heard Xiaoyan's calm words. He then chuckled and said, "That's right. I heard that the supreme saints have gone to that region before, but they have returned empty-handed. Given your strength, You really can't find anything. Just as Xiaoyan was slightly relieved in his heart, Su Jiang suddenly said with a smile, "But how did you transform your soul energy?" Xiaoyan glanced at Su Jiang. The latter had a smile on his face. However, Xiaoyan could see a trace of coldness from deep within his eyes. He sneered in his heart. Xiaoyan said faintly, "Elder Su also said that I am the same as you, enjoying the treatment of a second-grade elder. Since that's the case, I don't need to explain everything to Elder Su." Su Jiang was slightly startled when he heard this. A trace of coldness flashed across his eyes in an instant. He grinned and said, "That's true. I am just curious. Xiaoyan, don't blame me." Xiaoyan smiled and remained silent. "All right, let's get back to the topic. What problems did you encounter in your cultivation today?" Su Jiang laughed and looked at Xiaoyan with a passionate gaze. He looked like a completely different person from his previous aggressive manner. Without any hesitation, Xiaoyan said, "The cultivation technique that I am cultivating. It is a skill that is extremely yang. I don't know if the monic skill that I want to cultivate is compatible with my yin and soft monic skill." Su Jiang took a deep look at Xiaoyan when he heard this, then said in a low voice, "According to common sense, the combination of yin and yang, no matter what kind of skill it is, it can be used to cultivate other skills of yin and yang at the same time. However, you emphasized that it is extremely yang, so I would like to see what kind of intense cultivation technique it is." Upon hearing Su Jiang's words, Xiaoyan didn't hesitate at all. He had already prepared himself mentally before coming here. Even Elder Yi had been interested in the path of the flame mantra burning spell for a long time. With Su Jiang's experience, it was unlikely that he could reach that level. While thinking, Xiaoyan closed his eyes. His 10 fingers formed a seal, and the origin monic key in his body began to surge. He drew out the meridians in his body and formed a blurry picture above his head. Within the picture was a human body's meridian diagram. A wisp of flame shot out from the tangled meridians, connecting a strange meridian. It was the circulation route of the flame mantra burning spell. Su Jiang raised his head and looked at the source of the flame. His eyes were shining with a bright light as he deeply imprinted the circulation route of the flame in his mind. Although it looked extremely unfamiliar, it was possible that this was what Xiaoyan had obtained in Saint Meteorite Mountain. As for Xiaoyan's explanation just now, he would never believe it. It is indeed the fiercest. Su Jiang, who had recovered his senses, had a slightly shocked expression in his eyes. If one were to look carefully at the circulation route of this skill, one would not be able to see anything special about it. However, that kind of inexplicable feeling was extremely shocking. If one looked closely at the circulation route of the flame's meridians, one could clearly feel an endless heat, as if his entire body had fallen into a scorching heat. Looking at Xiaoyan's questioning eyes, Su Jiang couldn't help but fall into deep thought. This was the first time he had seen such a strong cultivation technique. Although he was envious of the benefits Xiaoyan might get in Saint Meteorite Mountain, he was also very clear about the importance of it. Now was far from the time. To be honest, I don't know either. Su Jiang was silent for a long time, but he still shook his head and sighed. He had no idea whether such an unyielding cultivation method could accommodate the monic skill that was extremely soft and yin. The yin and yang poles should be complementary to each other, but there is one thing that can't be excluded: yin and yang have reached an extreme point. I wonder if they will still be compatible at this time. Su Jiang lowered his head and sighed, causing Xiaoyan to frown. Was the flame mantra burning spell really that domineering? According to what Jade Fairy said, the yin and yang scroll was a saint-grade monic skill. The yin scroll and the yang scroll had both reached a peak. When the two of them merged, they would unleash a greater power. However, Xiaoyan wasn't sure if the flame mantra burning spell's yang was purer and stronger than the secret arts on the yang scroll. However, what I want to say is, Xiaoyan, you can try cultivating it. Su Jiang raised his head and said with a solemn face. His expression was serious. At this moment, He had completely come from the disposition of a genius. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.